our panelists. So our first panelist is Dr. Colin South. Colin is the CEO of ArkeaBio. He leads the development of a vaccine to reduce enteric methane. He originally from a sheep farming background in New Zealand. He holds degrees in chemical engineering from the University of Cambridge, a master's in engineering, a Ph.D. in process engineering from Dartmouth College, and has over 25 years leading organisations in biotechnology and the agricultural sector. So, Colin.
Thanks, Paul. It's great to be here. Oops, it does go the other way. There we go. Just as an overview of who we are, we've been around for about 3 years, about 2 years looking at animals directly and working, having a lab up. We've got about 25 people in Boston working on a vaccine based on working through a microbiome company. In essence, we see ourselves as a microbiome company that we essentially deliver something that will inactivate or decrease the fitness of methanogens in the gut through the use of the immune system. And while this has been worked on for over 30 years, there's really been a field that's struggled because of the technology availability and the availability of cash. We've got 6 great investors, but they exist here because they're mission-focused investors. This is a subject that has, I'd take a little exception to Paul's remarks, that I think it's amazing how many people do know about methane in cattle. As a conversation topic in a cocktail party, it's really quite entertaining how many people can really tell you about it and then know more than you'd think they would. We have 13,000 square feet of office and labs. We do our work in Texas A&M with cattle. That's our sole mission. This is what we do. We focus solely on mitigating methane in cattle for the purpose of environmental benefit. We naturally look hard at the way we can use that to get productivity, drive return for farmers as well. We see that this is an industry that is changing. It's got new drivers than it's had before, and there's this new introduction of capital that's making a major difference to how quickly we can move. It's interesting, though, when I first had the cattle operation in Texas up and running, and I was driving across the 2 hours from Houston to Texas A&M, I was driving with a new scientist that I had on board, and we were talking about microbiome modification. And I said, we up for the challenge? What do you think? And she goes, well, it's not as simple as if we were solving cancer. And there is a lot of that. I mean, we're asking a diverse population to be modified in a way that has a sustaining impact. I mean, the longevity of impact is the core piece of what we do. And why do we think that now is the time that this can work, and what's different than what there has been before? Well, fundamentally, there's been a change in the cost of tools and technology and then the technologies necessary to do what we need to do in the microbiome. That came out of billions of dollars of NIH money that went into developments in the drug sector, and now we can take a human genome. Used to be $3 billion for the first one, now it's about $100 to $200. We can do full microbiome sampling inside the rumen of all the organisms in there and quantify them for tens of thousands of dollars. So it just is a different space than we've had before. There's an availability of capital because of potential monetization models, and we could talk about the price of carbon, but that's not the whole picture. It's not like you're selling a carbon unit. You're selling different things to different parts of the channel. Just having an attribute in market that can drive volume through a dairy channel has value to people. You can turn that back into dollars per ton of carbon equivalents, but the monetization models are varied by country and by users and by the growing awareness that the consumers have. And on top of that, there's a huge amount of interest at the consumer and corporate climate space, a lot of awareness. If you look at Scope 3 commitments alone, there's more than 500 million tons of Scope 3 commitments that have been made by corporates for 2030 alone. So there's a massive gap between the aspirations of industry and the tools they have to do it. So we're very much focused on driving speed into this process so we can deliver tools for farmers to use that corporates can meet those commitments. If we get to 2030 without the right tools, we're going to see a major change in the drivers here. So really we are focused on making sure we have those tools out there. All those things add up to having availability of human and financial capital in a way that there hasn't been before. So we're excited to be at the front edge of where this is going, but we also recognize that this is a field that has really benefited from continuity of capital coming in, even at a low level against targets that were impossible to meet with the tools they had. So going back as far as the 1990s and through to now, there's been a continuity of effort that's built a foundation that says this is possible. And so for all the reasons that the vaccine has so many benefits in extensive systems and in small distributed systems, availability to access places like India, Africa, and with equity, particularly into a very, very large market when you're talking about something that's roughly 5 to 6% of total global warming gases. So we're excited to be a major part of that. This really just summarizes what Paul said, that against what we would see as key criteria into markets and for others to be able to do a quick comparison where we stand, we think we hit every one of the key attributes we want. And the thing that had been missing for most of the time in this space was proof that a vaccine, when it's used in cattle, was able to mitigate methane. We've been fortunate in the time that we've had in vivo to be able to show that on multiple occasions we can reduce methane in cattle using a vaccine. Now, we're nowhere near the efficacy and the longevity that's required to drive that to a minimum viable product today, but we're in a place that we've now got positive controls. We're able to look at what it is that does this, how we can get there. So the path is very much clearer than it was before, and we're very excited to continue moving down that. But I would like to take just a little bit of time to contemplate the people in this room that have sort of built the base for where we're going and really set this along its way, and Paul being one of the major contributors. Overall, to Paul's point, it does fit the needs of everywhere in the supply chain in terms of being able to be delivered cost effectively into farms, in terms of being able to be administered with consumer acceptance and with on-farm acceptance, being a good fit with on-farm practice. It is the solution that we strive for. It's going to take a lot more time and effort to get there, but the tools that we now have let us continue down this pathway pretty effectively. So overall, that's our story. Happy to take some questions. Paul.